All right, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about that, a little bit of technical glitch. Welcome to the session. This is Boost Your App's Performance with Platform Cache. My name is Danny Chang, as it says on the slide, and I'm an ISV technical evangelist here at Salesforce. And as part of the team, what we do is we help our partners succeed on the platform, but as also part of that role, but as part of that role, we try to specialize in different products and features that we have within Salesforce, like Heroku, Salesforce DX, and Einstein Analytics. I specialize in Apex, and performance platform cache falls under that umbrella of Apex, and that's why I'm standing in front of you here today. Forward-looking statement, please keep in mind that Salesforce is a publicly traded company. When making your purchasing decisions, please do so based on what is currently available in the market today. And before we get started with what is platform cache, my favorite slide, who wants their app to be faster? All right, okay, good. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's listening. I feel like that's one question that people will say yes to. And what platform cache is actually, it's like RAM for your application, for your Salesforce application, obviously, and it stores your Salesforce session or org data for later access. If you don't know what cache is, and the reason why that squirrel is up there is because we like to make the analogy that cache is a lot like the cheeks on a squirrel, right? When they want to eat dinner, they have to go up the tree, get the nuts, and come back. And that's a lot of cardio and calories the squirrel's wasting. So why not keep some of the nuts in their cheeks, right? And that's similar to what the cache is doing. You're storing that cache data in a cache, and so that you can refer back to it without having to go back all the way back to the tree. So in this scenario, the tree would be your Salesforce database, an external system, another cloud provider. The squirrel would be the user, and the nuts would be the data. Okay, and there's two different types of platform caches. There's the org cache and the session cache. Org cache is org-wide data that's available for anyone in the org. And the session cache is data specific for a particular user. And it expires within 8 hours or when the session expires for that user. And how much platform cache do you need, and why do you need platform cache? Okay, we'll address the first question first. How much platform cache do you need? Well, the good news is that if you're an enterprise, performance, or unlimited edition user, you already have some default space allocated to your org. That's 10 megabytes for enterprise and 30 megabytes for unlimited and performance. So try using it if you have those orgs and you did not realize it. And then they're also sold in 10 megabyte chunks if you need more. And ISVs can also purchase cache for use with their application. And one thing to note is that the cache will have its own namespace. So that if you're an ISV with an app and you install it into a customer's org, that customer will not be able to use that cache space. That's only reserved for you. Okay? So that's how much platform cache you might need, but why do you need it? This is representative of a sample app that Salesforce did. It's available. This number is available on the trailhead. But API calls was about 2 orders of magnitude faster, and SOQL was anywhere between 2 to 40 times. The more multi-transactional SOQLs, obviously, is more expensive. But if you cache that data, obviously it'd be up to 40 times faster. And of course, depending on your use case and your org, this number may vary. And some top use cases, static data. Obviously, a good example of what not to do would be if you want to store your, a good example would be a stock price. If you need to constantly get the stock price, but obviously it's changing constantly though. And so that wouldn't make sense because every time the user goes in, you'll have to fetch that data from an external system over and over. That's a cache miss when the data is not already in the cache. And when the data is not already in the cache. Frequently used data. Obviously, if you use the data frequently, you want to store it so that you can refer back to it often. And complex computations. And the reason we want that is because it's not just storage that we're thinking of. When you're doing complex computations, there's a lot of CPU power, there's a lot of infrastructure things that's also going into that calculation. And so if you were to store that in the cache, it'd be a lot faster. And also it would save more infrastructure resources for other uses. Okay, and let's go into a quick demo. There was a bit of a problem with the displays. Hopefully it's working now. Great. Okay, it's working. Great. But it's not on my screen, so I'm going to have to refer back with you guys. What you're looking at right now is what platform cache looks like within Salesforce. If you go to setup, this has to be in classical view. It's not available in lightning view. But once you're in classic and you search platform cache on the quick find, this is what you're going to see. Obviously, I've enabled it for this demo. But when you don't, you have the option to enable it. Okay? And we see that we're using 0.01% of the cache space. And for the sake of the demo, we run a banana stand, and we have a complex model to determine how many bananas we're going to need to sell the next day. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a date, send that information to Heroku, which we set up here. It's a very simple Heroku app. In fact, it should not even be called an app because it's so simple. But what it's going to do is going to wait some time, and it's going to return a number. And you see 24,601 on the top left-hand corner. And that's what we're going to make a GET request for that. Great. And actually, let's go to terminal real quick. How long should we wait for? Should we do 4 seconds, 5 seconds? Let's do 5 seconds. So we're going to set that up real quick. Done. OK, so we're going to wait 5 seconds. Please pick a date to calculate. November 8th. Actually, let's do tomorrow, because we are selling for tomorrow. And we're going to calculate. And let's see how long. OK. The cache was already warmed up. Let's pick a random date in the future. Let's do 2020. OK. Calculate. So this is going to take a while. 5 seconds, and then whatever that trip is going to take from the Heroku app to here. All right. And we see that 24,601 was fetched. The beauty of that, though, is when we made that call, that warmed up the cache. That value wasn't already in there, but now it is. So if we try to do that one more time, it's going to be instant because it was in the cache. It didn't even have to go to the external server. It just fetched it from within Salesforce. And for best practices, so let's say I've convinced you to try using platform cache, or at least try the demo, or the trailhead. But what should you keep in mind when you're actually coding? One thing to do is you have to decide what to cache. We went over the top use cases before, but it's not just about the static data or the frequently used data or complex computations. It's also about what within that data do you want to store. So for example, if you want to store some account data, account record, do you need the account name, email address, and the revenue, or do you just need the account name and email address? And then you want to save as much storage space as possible because obviously cache is expensive, and you want to save it for as much for the most important things. And pattern for cache storage. Obviously, this would depend on your organization and how you're and what kind of data you're using. But we do have one recommendation, and that's to include all logic for managing the cache in one class, so that you only have one single source of truth, one single source of error. And you can also avoid overriding already cached values from a different class, because when you see it on one page, it's a lot easier to do. And finally, diagnose cache usage. We saw during the demo the little pretty charts and the numbers that popped up, and that's how you diagnose it, and to make sure that the users are using it correctly, the caches are getting populated, and whatnot. Next steps. So when you go back to the office on Monday or Friday and you forgot everything about this talk, I want you guys to remember the trailhead. It has all the information that I went over, some of the demo materials also from the trailhead. So if you want to create the squirrel demo one more time, you can go to the trailhead. You can also request a free trial. Like I mentioned, Enterprise, Performance, and Unlimited editions already have some, so start using it. But if you just have a developer edition or something else, there's a button when you go to Platform Cache from Setup that says Request a free trial. And when you click it, you instantly get it. You get 10 megabytes. That's what we were using, actually, the trial. And yeah, you can try using it. Make sure it's the right thing for you. And if you decide it's the right thing, contact your Salesforce rep, or if you already have it, use it. And obviously, yes, start using Platform Cache with Astra. Wow, I breezed through that. Thank you so much for coming. That was a little short, but hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any more questions, I'll be here all day, or probably 5 more minutes. But yeah, thanks guys.